What a way to start.
Louder, louder, guys. A big applause. Noise, noise.
I hope you guys are watching closely because we're going to be picking one or two of you out of the audience to get up there and do exactly what you've just seen. So I hope we've managed to learn that choreography, right?
So our next session will be starting at 15:15, that we have the Zip Zap Circus. But for right now, we also just take the time, take a break. We've been sitting in many speeches for the whole day. By now, get some loose. You can maybe make your jacket a little looser as well. Some of I see are still 3 buttons in the jacket. But right now, in front, they have some table tennis. There's some football action happening. What else did we see there?
We've got the markets there that you can go and have a look at. Guys, this is the fun arena. Those are all the cool arenas there, but we are the fun arena. We have the entertainment. We have us. Come on. That's amazing in itself. And we have Zip Zap, and we have the gumboot dancers. And of course, on the very last day, we have a surprise, a very big surprise coming at the end of the conference. So we hope you guys all join us on the last day of the conference to see what it is, because it's very exciting. We also have some prizes to be won. So come and join us here when you guys want to break from the outside and just come and have a jaw here. That's what we're here for. Okay, so we'll see you in about 15.
We'll see you in 5 minutes time.
5 minutes. Right, give it up for the fantastic Zip Zap Circus, some of our local talent.
I think that's one of the best parts of the arena that we have today is that whoop, 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 we're witnessing great local talent. So again, round of applause for all the performers that you saw on the stage. The Gumboot Dancer and the Zip Zap Circus.
And now I think we are ready to start our first panel discussion. So we would like to welcome Michelle Constant for Public Development Banks, Culture, Arts and Sustainable Development to the stage. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give her a warm round of applause. Thank you, Michelle.
Could I ask all our panelists to join us at this point as well? Thank you. I will say, yesterday I was at B20, so it feels very different to be at a financial event where there's people tossing balls, and I hope that we can keep all the balls in the air as we move forward. Do we have enough chairs? And do we have enough microphones? You have some of the microphones as well. Great. I'm going to crack right into it, if I may. I am very aware of the shortness of time. And in fact, one of my colleagues said she was just coming to see this particular panel discussion because she wanted to see how was I going to manage it with so many speakers. I said, you don't know who our speakers are. They're absolutely excellent, and I know they're going to help us out. So let me start by saying thank you to the Zip Zap Circus. They are a friend of the French Institute here. It seems super counterintuitive that in a time of extreme geopolitical disruption, and in fact, where only 17% of the SDGs have been reached, that we should look at the arts and the creative and cultural industries for their support in sustainable growth globally. What role can the arts and creative industries play? Growing tourism, supporting economies, and of course addressing those SDGs. I often think of the SDGs with regards to the arts. We know that they're missing as a pillar, but I think of them in relation to SDG 17, which is so much about partnership and acts in many ways as a plumb line straight through all the other SDGs. So hopefully we'll be able to talk to that a little later. We want to know, how can the arts support women and youth through easy entry into the market? What are arts and culture, and what does a common financing plan look like? So with this in mind, for noting, our topic is Public Development Banks, Culture, Arts and Sustainable Development. The why, the what, and the how. We have an extensive panel of speakers, and I should note this. Their titles are covered on the slide behind us, and in the interests of time, I won't be reading each person's very impressive bio profile. So briefly, the basis for this conversation this afternoon is the study that Tiffen will be talking about in a moment. Ms. Tiffen de Mombanes will be presenting a summary of that study in two parts, and we'll then look to our panelists to take us through their vision of what the why is, what the what is, and the how. Finally, for noting, the session will be streamed live and can then be found on YouTube. With that, I'd like to invite Ms. Antonella Baldino, who's the CEO of the ICSC, just for a few words of introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor to be here opening this session at the FIX Arena. And it is an honor to be here speaking about art, culture, and their connection to development, a theme that has shaped the very evolution of our society. And I'm particularly proud to be here today representing the Italian Istituto per il Credito Sportivo e Culturale, a financial institution which is proudly among the founding members of the Coalition for Sustainable Development through Culture and Art. Culture and art as engine of change, creativity, collective well-being and progress. Through it, we discover who we are, where we come from, and most importantly, where we want to go. At the same time, though, we cannot ignore the economic of art and culture. Indeed, cultural heritage, as well as cultural and creative industries, are a significant source of economic development. Consider, for example, that CCIs account for more than 48 million jobs globally, almost half of which are held by women, highlighting the potential of culture as driver of economic growth and job creation. But culture does much more than contribute to economic growth. It is also a vital force for social inclusion and equity by fostering dialogue and understanding between different communities. Culture can help bridge divides and promote social cohesion. Quoting the G20 Working Group on Culture, we need to integrate cultural policies with socio-economic strategies to ensure holistic and inclusive development. It is often in a cultural project that the most vulnerable find their voices, whether through music, theater, or literature. Cultural initiatives in cities and rural areas provide people with the opportunity to engage in meaningful activities and empower marginalized communities. The empowerment can lead to a greater social mobility and can break cycle of poverty and inequality. When people can engage with and can contribute to culture, they are more likely to feel part of the society, leading to more harmonious and resilient communities. As the Italian poet Pavese wisely stated, culture is the only thing that makes us equal, because it's the only thing without border. So in a world that often divides, culture has the power to unite us all. For all these reasons, culture should be considered as the fourth pillar of sustainable development, alongside the traditional pillar, economic growth, social inclusion, environmental balance. Indeed, as eloquently defined in the study powered by the Financing Commons Summit Art and Culture Coalition, culture is the missing pillar. And we, as PDB, we have many ways in which we can support art and culture, financing from conservation, restoration, and enhancement of cultural heritage to investing in creative industries. The study promoted by the coalition clearly maps out the ways forward, highlighting the importance of working together to increase our commitment to supporting art and culture with innovative and impactful financial solutions. Art and culture represent our past, our present, but also our key to the future. They are not sector apart from progress, they are a fundamental part of it. They are an engine that drive people to grow, reflect, innovate, and develop. So, therefore, if you are not already a member, let me conclude by inviting you to all join the FIX Coalition for Art and Culture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I ask Ms. Tiffaine de Montbane, who is the director of the METI Fund for Arts and Development, to join us on the stage to focus on why arts and culture are important on economies, communities, and individuals. And I would like to note that she split the summary into two parts.
Michelle and Antonella for this inspiring introduction. Thank you so much. Thank you to our guests for being here. So when we launched the FIX Art and Culture Coalition 1.5 years ago, we decided to first put our efforts in better understanding the activities that we as PDBs are financing regarding art and culture. Because you know who is doing what, why and how. The truth is that nothing currently exists in this matter. So what did we find? Don't worry, I'm not going to present you a very boring presentation about our results, but in the name of the coalition, I just would like to introduce a few points and introduce the voices of our speakers. So first of all, is it relevant for a PDB to pay attention to art and culture? Yes, for sure it is. It is really relevant. And why? Maybe you... So, you know, over the past few decades, art and culture have been widely recognized as powerful catalysts for sustainable development. A lot of research demonstrates it in various fields, and we decided to start our study by conducting an interdisciplinary literature review. We were looking for a tool working as a compass for PDBs to situate and even orientate their action. So we decided to organize our results around 3 main pillars. You will quickly see the diagram showing it. And it's a kind of art you will see. So first pillar, direct and indirect economic benefits of culture and arts. Maybe just an example, culture and arts, they contribute 3.1% to GDP's, global GDP, and they employ 30 million people worldwide. Additionally, cultural and creative industries generate indirect economic benefits, stimulating tourism, hospitality, retail, and construction. So this is the economic pillar of culture and arts. But then you have 2 other ones. Culture and arts benefits for individuals, because arts and culture, they really play a crucial role in enhancing individual well-being, fostering social inclusion. They contribute to education and personal growth, allowing experiential learning and critical thinking. Arts and culture stimulate creativity and innovation, enhance problem solving, adaptability and resilience across various economic sectors. And third one, culture and arts benefit for communities and for society. They play a vital role in fostering social cohesion, intercultural dialogue, and collective identity. As a universal language, art bridges diverse communities, facilitating mutual understanding and cooperation. UNESCO has highlighted its role in reducing ethnic tensions and discrimination, while artistic projects in post-conflict regions have contributed to reconciliation. Art has historically shaped national identities, particularly in post-colonized nations. It provides platform for self-representation and resistance. Art also acts as a medium for memorialization, preserving historical memory. It serves as a powerful political force, challenging injustices and driving social and environmental changes. So these 3 pillars, as you can imagine, they are intimately interconnected. They all depend each one from others. You can't imagine one being active if the 2 other ones are not. So yes, and yes again, far beyond entertainment and flourishing industries, arts and culture play a crucial role in enriching lives, driving innovation, and strengthening social cohesion. They are fundamental to holistic human development. So this being said, dear Michel, I give you the floor back.
Thank you so much, Tiffaine. Could I ask that you bring that microphone for Anand? Just, oh, you've got one, great. So I would just like to add, I'm not sure, certainly our speakers, I imagine, are feeling it. It is sometimes very difficult to hear in this space. It's extremely difficult to hear in this space. There's huge bounce back. And there's also a hell of a lot of noise going at the back. So we apologize if there are issues with sound. So in that case, I'd like to introduce Anant Singh, who I think I've known since I was about 10, maybe a little bit older, but it felt like that. So Anant Singh is renowned as a film producer and also an official member of the IOC. So in this conversation, we're talking to arts and culture, but certainly Anant is one of those people who can add the conversation of sport. Anant, Tiffany mentioned heritage, tourism, social cohesion, direct and indirect economic benefits. As someone who has produced a variety of films, certainly Oscar-nominated films, how do you feel? What do you think were the highlights and the role of what the research has demonstrated?
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
Is it on? No. Let's see if this is on. Should be on.
Hello, hello. You
Try
can hear
that
us? Thank you, Michelle. It's great to be here. You know, generally the creative industries, film, art, don't get platforms in any financial institution or any of the business side of these events. So it's very refreshing to see that culture and sport are included for the first time, I think, because it's always a sort of orphan. We don't deal with that. There's no business there. We can't predict it. And as a filmmaker, I've had that all my life, that, you know, we couldn't finance movies in this country and around the world because the business of film is something that is not understood by bankers conventionally. Obviously, they work on, you know, when you look at a film studio, there's a different business model. But creativity is the heart and the humanity of every nation and every people. And I think Africa, we heard the opening plenary today, and the opportunities that exist on this continent for development, for progress, for economic success is enormous. And what we as Africans know is our history and our ability to learn about storytelling, to learn about art, to learn about culture is all intrinsically in our childhood. We grow up, whichever community you're from. If you're living in a village in Venda or in the Drakensberg Mountains, you learn about those basic things from your family. You sit under a tree and you hear stories from your grandfather. These are things that we are born with. And these are not assets that are harnessed by any of the sort of global thinkers of the economic world. And obviously I've had first-hand knowledge of that, but at the end of the day, you look at the African continent and someone is learning how to weave, they're learning how to sing, they go to church. You know, the opportunities of the economics of each of those industries is something that I've been trying to push in South Africa. And finally, there is recognition for the creative industries. Obviously, it's lesser so in some industries, but it is enormous. And I think all of the bankers that are here, whether it's public banks, private banks, it's something that you should harness and begin to think about. Obviously, the challenges of understanding it is something that needs to be figured out. But coming with that is the opportunities of partnerships. Partnerships not only with banks and other, whether it's public banks or private banks, but other countries. So we have, let's say, a co-production arrangement for film with France. And I'm sure there's other cultural components on other, whether it's music or all of those things that could be an opportunity also. So that brings me back then to sport. I'm a filmmaker and also an IOC board member. So on this screen you have public development banks, culture, arts, and sustainable development. Sport is excluded. And the ability of what sport and film can do are almost parallel, because you start at grassroots level. The opportunities on this continent, again, for athletes and for creative people are almost non-existent. But they, despite all of that, there are shining lights that come out of it. So isn't that enough of an incentive to everybody to be able to say, okay, well, you know what, we should look at sport and culture and try to develop, because the grassroots is where the biggest problem is, in my opinion. You know, clearly, when I decide to make a movie, and movies tell the story and the humanity of the nation. So I've concentrated on telling South African stories through my career, and in most instances, you know, there was a lot of rejection. But ultimately, whether it was Sarafina or the AIDS story yesterday, which was nominated for an Oscar, you know, everybody tends to be negative, not only the banks, but even the creative people that you have to work with. So I do feel that there's a lot we can be doing. And as bankers, all of you that are watching this or listening to this, it is an opportunity for success. Also, when you look at the African nation for sport, in Paris, we did so well. We had the Kenyan athlete, Faith, Kipango, who won the 1,500 meter race 3 times in a row, never done before. And that's history. Likewise, Botswana did phenomenally well. South Africa did well. And the unifying ability of sport is something that is really special. And as you walk out, you'll see 2 banners on right and left. The words are unite, empower, create, inspire, impact, and transform. Now, any investment any banker does will never cover all 6 of those words and be able to have people around the world be embraced into a narrative and a story. And you've heard earlier from the other aspects, whether it's tourism and the multitude of benefits that come from this. You look at artists like Tyler, who's South African, who's at the Grammys, and you know, really quite special. So I urge you all to think about these industries. The fact that we are here is great. It says why, what, and how. It's in our hands and yours to try and come together and find these opportunities, which I assure you will lead to success. Thank you.
Anand, thank you so much. Do you think that bankers understand yet?
Sorry?
Do bankers understand? So, you know, it's interesting that Anand talks about the idea of harnessing partnerships, because I truly do believe that all of this works within partnerships. And that takes us perfectly to our next speaker, if we can just pass down the mic. Oh, you've got one.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I think it works.
Mr. Julien Pelot is the director of the Partnerships Division at UNESCO. Julien, we know, and as I mentioned earlier, the United Nations SDGs don't talk to arts, culture, and sport. Potentially, they could be covered in that SDG 17. But I just wondered if we need to see a growing recognition, a greater recognition in understanding the value.
Yeah, well, I think the diagram that Tiffen shows us encapsulates it really well. It has this kind of comprehensive, holistic vision of the contribution of culture to sustainable development. And basically a recognition that culture and the arts is not just an expression of creativity, which is important in itself, but it's also a powerful driver for sustainable development, for economic growth. I mean, you talked, Stephen, about the economic benefits. For social cohesion, you mentioned a very concrete example of, I mean, in this case, sports, but the same could be said for culture, how it unites. For individual well-being, for example, we see some correlations between mental health and access to culture and the arts. But also I would add, and that's maybe not so evident in the diagram, but it was also there, environmental sustainability. And so when we look at those areas, for example, on economic growth, the creative industries is 3.1% of global GDP. It's 6.2% of the total employment total employment worldwide.
Yeah.
So this is really significant industry, and that is just one part of culture and the arts. In terms of the social and community impact, you mentioned how it drives dialogue, inclusion, identity, but also community resilience. And we see great linkages, for example, between culture and education. So this
Yeah.
is something we're trying to also promote at UNESCO. And on environmental sustainability, maybe just a word on that as well. I mean, for example, when we talk about indigenous land management practices or about intergenerational knowledge transfer, you know, in the context of environment, again, here culture can play a huge role in climate adaptation and resilience. So these are all benefits, and we would like to see greater investments, greater interest in really driving investments into culture because it has high returns. And I think this is a good investment for public development banks.
May I ask you, Julien, how do you persuade the bankers or your member states? What are the words you might use?
I mean, the good news is that there are lots of examples already. I mean, we at UNESCO have partnered with different development banks on heritage restoration projects, on cultural and creative industries, where we can provide, for example, a technical expertise, but the banks can come with the financing, and then we work with local communities and with artists and business and the private sector to really reach impact, but also to leverage other types of financing. So, you know, we're not starting from scratch. I think the question is really how do we bring this to scale? How can we really have another level of investment so that we can really reap fully the benefits of these investments? And here are the three things I want to emphasize which are important for us at UNESCO. The first one is that we need to see more systematic inclusion of culture in national development strategies.
Yeah.
And here, you know, there is a real link that needs to be made between ministries of finance and ministries of culture, which are not ministries that always speak to each other very much. I mean, I can generalize for all countries, but there is an opportunity to create greater linkages. The second one is to incentivize private and public investments. And here, I think the public development banks really have a catalytic role to play. They can expand the financing instruments, blended finance models. We have seen how it can help with de-risking. They can provide guarantee schemes for culture. We can also see a better integration of culture in social impact bonds, for example. So there are lots of different instruments that can be used. And we have seen, for example, in Europe, the Europe Investment Fund for Creative Sector for the creative sector has invested 285 million in public funding, and that has unlocked 3 billion euros in financing for the creative sector. So there is really a high potential. And finally, the last point is measurement. And we need to do more, we need to do better on data collection and on measurement. We need to have a better quantification of culture's contribution to GDP, for example. We need to have better integration of culture in SDG progress tracking. And here at UNESCO, we are at the moment updating the framework for cultural statistics, which will be presented at the Global Conference on Cultural Policies, Mondiacult, in Barcelona at the end of September. So that's one tool that can be used also to drive investments and to show the returns on investments.
Julien, thank you so much. Other types of financing, blended financing, systemic inclusion in our country's strategic planning and strategic development. Public-private partnerships, I would always argue for. Which takes us to Robin Oates, Ms. Robin Oates. She's the head of sustainable finance at UN Women. She's actually a South African, viva Las Vegas, but she's moved, not to Las Vegas, but to New York. And Robin, you know, we speak so much about where we position the arts and where we position culture. I loved what Julien said a bit earlier about social cohesion, but also mental health, which raises the question, is how do you see arts and culture? I've seen some wonderful projects in South Africa supporting gender equality, and I wondered what were the barriers for that particular gender gap, and how do we build something much stronger?
Great. Thank you so much, Michelle, and it's really a pleasure to be here on this panel today. You know, I think at the heart of sustainable development is really the concept of leaving no one behind. And so when we look at women and girls, we see that they are continuously excluded because of systematic barriers, particularly in marginalized communities. And at this current rate, it will take us 134 years to achieve gender equality, which means that it will not happen in our lifetime, or possibly that of our children, unless we change something. And I think that's why this conversation today is so important, because arts and culture are not just a reflection of society, but they are enablers and tools to change society. And so I think that's why bringing this to the fore, bringing this to this platform is incredibly important. There is a quote that I like from an author who says that art is the Trojan horse of truth. And that has the ability to move past our defenses. And I think that's a beautiful metaphor for what art and culture can do. It can lower our defenses, it can raise up marginalized voices, and it can really enable, I think, a shift in perceptions, a shift in our norms, a shift in our traditions. UN Women takes this very seriously. We have a couple of initiatives. One is the Unstereotyped Alliance. The other is the Generation Equality Campaign, which works very closely with media, with filmmakers, with artists, to really unpack the stereotypes that are embedded in media, in film, and in different industries in the creative sector. I think secondly, the second component is really looking within, so looking within the creative industries and ensuring that their practices shift, that there's representation across all areas in creative industries, that there is equal pay for equal work, and that workplaces are safe. You know, there is obviously a lot of concern around sexual harassment, gender-based violence, and I think there within the creative industries, within sports, of course, as well, is a huge opportunity for change. And then thirdly, I think we've touched on this sort of the economic potential of creative industries. But really, when we talk about gender equality and the full inclusion of society, we have to look at women's economic empowerment. So both as contributors to the growth in the sector and the growth in this GDP, but also as beneficiaries of. And so when we look at that, I think one example that's very helpful to make this concrete for us is you, excuse me, take an example of a young filmmaker in South Africa, and then perhaps Orange, you can identify with this. But as a young woman filmmaker, perhaps she's got a powerful story to tell around climate change, but she needs capital. So she approaches a bank for a loan. That bank will look at a traditional credit history, which she may or may not have. They will then look at collateral. They'll expect that there's land, for example, a house in her name. She may or may not have that in her name. If she then moves from that to private finance, we know the statistics. The statistics are that less than 7% of all venture capital will go to women-owned enterprises. And that's globally. So that means that at sort of emerging market level, it's far less than 7%. And if she manages to raise that capital, there becomes a question of, is her creative asset valued? Does she have the intellectual property rights assigned to what she has produced? Is she able to go to market? And so I think we see these sort of compounding issues really reflected in an example like that, and it's something that we're working hard to address. At UN Women, we work at the local level, supporting financial inclusion, but also at the global level through our sustainable finance work, to work with market players and the ecosystem across capital markets, stock exchanges, public development banks. We're very fortunate to have worked closely with FIX and with the public development banks as co-chairs of the Gender Coalition, where we're looking at breaking down those systemic barriers and shifting perspectives. Because I don't think it's about making women bankable, but it's really about making financial systems work for women and work for all of us. So I think, I would probably end on just going back to this issue of partnerships and that we can working together. We've seen, the progress over the last few years when we've looked at reforming of the financial architecture. And so now it really is time for us to take those political commitments and translate them into practical action. And I think this is a key way that we can do that here and now.
We've had over the last few months a really strong sense of countries becoming more and more isolationist. Not all, but some. And I think what it highlights is this critical issue of us no longer working in silos, but really starting to push forward as part of a collaborative process, part of a partnership process to break those ideas. Are you feeling like there is a way forward in that?
I think absolutely. I think this is reflective of the fact that we're here today. The fact that we have such a range of actors coming together. And financing is such a powerful tool. There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
But I think there's also, we often speak about the challenges, but I think speaking about the opportunities that are embedded, and I think, Arend, you mentioned that as well, speaking just about the opportunities that there are when it comes, for banks looking to expand and grow their businesses. There's huge opportunities in these kind of sectors. It just takes, I think, maybe a shift in our narrative.
Fantastic. What would a conversation about arts and culture and bankers be? The bankers, we'll get them on the stage. No, we won't. We will, but we will have arts and culture. And at this point, I'd like to very briefly invite Biso Vili onto the stage. He is a poet, and he has promised to give us a few words from his particular soul, space, and indeed heritage as well. Biso, are you here? Oh.
They told us we couldn't live from our art, like we didn't live through it, like we weren't mining gold from our hearts, souls spread out across the sky inside our palms. We came to our township hoping for alms and almonds, but we knew that we were better than what the roots offered, and so we grew into a cacophony of sound and story. See, it was always our creativity that allowed us to live. And now we are busy sharing words and tales around a fire, hoping to take us higher, out of townships, out of spaces where we do not get seen. I hope you hear me. When ears are open, we allow our hearts to be felt, to be touched, to be heard. We are always the next word shared in a sentence that never ends. This is how we begin to blend our stories together, so we know that there will be no end if we work together. We are here to change the world around us. All you need is a dancer, a storyteller, a drum beat, a singer, maybe a bank that allows to bring the platform to an audience that is here waiting to watch. We are the watchmen of tales, of time, of a world waiting to grow together. And one day, when we are ready, we may share our spirits, our veins, our souls through gold and old tales that are waiting to come to life, because we are ready to sing a song caught in our throats. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Abiso. He'll be back again at the end of the conversation, so we really appreciate that. A song called Life is really where we're going to. I'm going to ask you to please keep these monitors on. I think it will make a huge difference. I can see, yes, to the speakers as well. Thank you so much. Tiffaine, could I ask you to come back and maybe just bring us into the second part of the presentation? And also for our speakers, it is on the screen behind us as well. But it's there.
Thank you, Abisho. Your voice is so strong. So the why being addressed, let's share with you some results about the what and the how PDBs are dealing with the issues of arts and culture. As I told you, until this study, no research had been conducted about the practical work of PDBs in the field of arts and culture. So like every very first study, gathering data had been a challenge in itself. Screening 533 members, we found 50 banks being engaged in cultural and artistic initiatives, 7 of which are already members of the coalition. So how PDBs engage in culture and arts? Next slide, please. Culture and arts are broad concepts and therefore arise a great variety of focus areas and anticipated impacts for PDBs. 8 categories have been identified, keeping in mind that most PDBs adopt a mix of approach. First one, supporting the creative and cultural economy. Second one, cultural heritage preservation. Third, artistic creation and support for artists. Fourth, expanding access to culture. Fifth, knowledge production and research. Six, policy advocacy and regulatory support. 7, support for amateur artistic practices. And last one, sponsorship of cultural events. Next one. The analysis reveals that PDBs prioritize the economic impacts of art and culture, such as income generation, job creation, and cultural heritage as an economic asset. Underrepresented areas include the art as political tools, memorialization, environmental awareness, health, resilience, and well-being, despite extensive evidence of the needs. So which kind of financing and non-financing instrument are they using? Next slide, please. You will find in the study through many examples that PDBs provide their usual set of financial instruments to support the diverse business models within CCIs. These instruments include loans, guarantees, equity investments, and grants, alongside non-financial assistance to enhance business resilience. Grants are also essential for artistic creation, amateur practices, and cultural events, ensuring that projects driven by creative expression and social impacts can thrive independently of commercial pressures. So this approach supports cultural diversity, accessibility, and the sustainability of experimental and community-based initiatives. So this first study didn't allow us to compare the financial volume dedicated by year and by PDBs, but it allowed us to have a general idea of the orders of magnitude for each PDB's financial instrument. Next slide, please. Ranging from, for example, from 10 million to 800 million US dollar if we consider the sovereign loans, and ranging from 2,000 US dollar to 20 million US dollar for the grants. So as a conclusion of the study, our report highlights the growing recognition of arts and culture as essential pillars of sustainable development. While PDBs increasingly support creative industries and heritage preservation, challenges for sure remain. The focus on economic impacts often overshadows the social benefits of culture, such as its role in health, well-being, and environmental advocacy. So to maximize impacts, PDBs still have to adopt a more strategic approach, integrating culture into broader development frameworks and strengthening diverse kind of partnerships. Okay. So I give you back the floor so that we can discuss with our
Tifan,
PDBs partners.
I know that people, and certainly people here as well, are going to be interested in looking at this material again. And I wonder if you could just give the details as you walk back to your chair, where they can find it.
Okay, j'entends pas, I can't
Oh.
hear you well.
You can hear me? No.
No, I can't hear you well, you know. I can't
Oh.
hear you well because of the sound of the stage.
Ah. I was just saying, do you have the details of where people can find the...
Sure. The study will be online in a while. You will be able to consult it, to comment it, and we will finalize it by the end of March. So we'll be on the FIX Summit site.
Fantastic, thank you so
Sorry.
much. I think it takes us perfectly into the second, or transitions us perfectly into the second piece, which is really starting to look at how we actually do this. And Ms. Oluranti Doherty is the Managing Director of Export Development at the Afrexim Bank. Oluranti, if I may, I think Tifane was talking earlier about the gathering of data, and indeed this is proof of it. I wondered for you, in terms of the programs that you've done as founders of the Creative African Exchange, what lessons you've learned, and particularly in line with how important the gathering of data is, the monitoring and evaluation and the like.
Thank you very much. I think I would like to start with, you've asked a very important question. Why are we doing this as MDBs? And for us as an African NDB, because we're a multilateral trade finance institution for the entire continent, it's looking at creatives, culture within the African context. We've seen that creatives and cultural industries in Africa are gaining global recognition, looking at Afrobeats and Amapiano dominating the international music charts, looking at Nollywood and other African film industries coming up with thriving film scenes, looking at even African fashion influencing the global runways. We believe that there's a lot of opportunity for us to be able to make a difference in this sector. And the fact that most people who are actually involved in this sector are the youth, and Africa has a teeming youth population. But we also notice, like everyone has said today, that they remain underfunded. But not just funding, they also lack structured support that they need to thrive. Yeah. And as you rightly said, we came up with the Creative Africa's Nexus program called CANEX as a bank, because we felt that we needed to intervene. And the verticals of the Creative Africa Nexus created by Afrexim Bank is film, music, gastronomy, arts, poetry, literature, and sports. We've included sports because we felt that there was a very deep connection between the creatives, arts, and sports. And we decided to focus on 6 pillars because we felt that if we're going to change things and change the narrative, we need to first address financing. And so we came up with a 2 billion facility dedicated to the creative sector. And with this 2 billion facility, we are providing interventions through financial instruments such as debt, equity, guarantees. But we also realize that if we are going to scale up, we need to also ensure that our financing mechanisms support African creatives to commercialize their intellectual property rights and to expand into international markets. So we had to bring on board capacity building support to these creatives and to some FIs that we partner in financing creatives. For the creatives, we came up with programs like master classes for jewelry making, for arts, for film, for literary writing, for publishing, etc. And we also came up with linkages, partnerships, and market access. We came up with the CANEX weekend, which is held yearly across the continent as a networking platform to connect creatives with business opportunities. And this year we are going to have another Canex at the Intra-Africa Trade Fair 2025 taking place in Algiers from the 4th to 10th of September. I urge most African creatives watching to log on and to be able to participate. Another thing we came up with was intervening via digitalization, because we see that this is key. Digital tools are important to enable creatives first connect with each other, to provide e-commerce solutions, and also to provide intellectual property monetization, because African creatives are often unable to maximize their earnings from things they create. We have set up what we call Canex Creations Incorporation, which would be an IP holding platform where we are making strategic investments into to support African creatives to maximize their intellectual property. But apart from that, we've also done a lot of investments and policy advocacy. Policy advocacy working with the Africa Union Commission and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. And also regional economic communities, governments, policymakers. Some of the policy interventions we've made is strengthening copyrights and IP laws across our member countries, also promoting policies that can facilitate the growth of creative industries, and more importantly, talking to our member countries, the various governments, in advocating for appropriate fiscal incentives. I think I like what you said earlier, where you said we need to have the Ministry of Finance talking to the Creatives Ministry, because I think this is one of the ways we can push and move the appropriate fiscal policies that are needed. Up to date, we've been able to invest over 500 million of the 2 billion facility program, and we are willing to do more. We've identified partnerships also as key, because with the enormous impact and the need of the creative sector across Africa, one institution alone cannot go in alone. And so we would continue to leverage partnership. We will continue to cooperate with regional DFIs, sister DFIs across the continent, local DFIs, local banks, because they play an important role. Yeah. They have a direct pulse and impact to these creative sectors. And also, of course, you know, other technical institutions. Skills development is key. I think we cannot overlook it at all if we want to scale creative sector across Africa. And as such, bringing in education to creatives is a very key focus. At our 6th strategic plan, that was one of the key focus we wanted to also see ourselves play more in terms of supporting the setup of institutions, vocational training centers, etc., to be able to scale up on skills within the creative industry. And when you talked of sports earlier, I laughed because, you know, when we first had the idea of integrating sports into our Creative Africa Nexus program, a lot of people within the bank asked, what has sports got to do with creating? But I think we've been able to see that, in fact, sports is a major part of the CCI sector. We've done a lot in this instance, and we've partnered with, you know, the Basketball Association on the continent to be able to provide support in scaling such sports, identifying youths who have the talent in this, mentoring them, and also providing platform for them to thrive. And we'll continue to do this. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Ms. Oloranti Doherty. I love what you say about how we maximize the value of the African continent. And I do think that that is a conversation that we continue to push here, and certainly as we move forward, also given the youth bulge and what we understand that to look like in 2030, 2040, and moving onwards. I am going to move onwards, if I may. I apologize. I feel like a freight train. Like I should just be going choo-choo. But anyway, we move forward. Ms. Lavinia Barros de Castro is a senior advisor of the president of the BNDES. She's here. And Lavinia, if I may, I'd love to know what you see as a bank, the challenges are, and how you are addressing some of these challenges.
Do you mind if I go there?
Sure.
Because
It's all yours.
I am a teacher, so I'm used to. It's difficult for me for talking over there. So it's a joy to be here. I mean, there is this phrase about Albert Einstein. He's mentioned that creativity is contagious. And being in South Africa is contagious. I'm really excited. I mean, my first time here, and it's amazing. So I think you made a very interesting question, because when Tiffen was presenting, she was like kind of discussing in what I would say it's a sociological way of seeing things, in the sense that where culture goes beyond what is like a commodity, which is, I am an economist and used to think like a commodity basis. So real culture should challenge us. Isn't that true? Should stimulate our critical thought and encourage our individuality, and at the same time make us feel connected to other people. So I'm quoting here Horkheinen, who is like one of the critics of the mass of culture. So, but what I was considering is that if you ask me as an economist, what is development? And there are several definitions, and I will say, well, development is a transformation, envisioning growth, decent jobs, reducing inequalities, and also making life better for all the people. So when I built, like, for example, a train or a metro, and we go reducing the time a mom can wait until, instead of waiting for like 4 hours in the traffic, then she can take the metro and have half an hour, and she can stay with her baby. That's development. I mean, you're working to make her life better, just like art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. That's what Picasso used to say, and that's we're trying to get the dust. So how we do that in finance? So the problem is, financing culture is not easy. It's not easy even to think in terms of economics with culture, because culture have several aspects that challenge us. First of all, creativity is restless. It never ends. It's a process that never ends. So it's not a production process. And in some sense, it's not a commodity in the sense that it's not produced to sell on the market. So how can you, on the same time, finance that? And when you finance culture and art, there are some challenges. One is, many times, the thing you produce is just once, and then you have to live with the royalties or with the revenues forever, okay? So the flow of receipts is irregular. We need patient capital, because sometimes we need a lot of money in the beginning of the process. And the other problem is that we have a lot of intangible assets. We don't have guarantees for funding you, so that's another problem. And also property rights, in the sense that it's like innovation. You are creating patents, you need royalties, and there is always the problem of a free rider in the economic point of view, someone that will jump in without paying. So you also have to avoid that. And there is a lot of small and medium enterprise, and they don't get credit. And also they live paycheck to paycheck. So these are the challenges. This is our most important challenges. So I'm going to present two cases very briefly. So what we do in terms of heritage. Actually, I must say that BNDES is the major supporter of historical heritage in my country, in Brazil. We restored more than 400 monuments, supported 900 million reais, and we have been doing that for 25 years. So there are several beautiful projects that inspire us. But then you have to think, well, okay, I'm thinking in terms of development, so this project should incorporate action related to tourism, to urban revitalization. We have to think in terms of how can we deal with the property they are there. How can we improve employment and income generation and heritage and education and professional training? So you're not thinking in terms of one project, but in all the transformation. As I mentioned, development is a process of transformation, so we have to look all around. But the point is, that when you do that, you have a problem. First of all, like museums, for example, they have fiscal flows sometimes, but they have to be outstanding. So one of the instruments we can use is endowments funds. Then they can support themselves. We put the money once, and then it's going to rest for the other projects. And we try to create like shop stores or things like that will maintain this revenue, okay? So for what have been very interesting, and this is the how you were asking for, like for example, for heritage, being specific on our action notice when we're doing the action is a very important thing. You have to think about all the details. And you have to be flexible. You have to, for example, give long grace periods. Because at the beginning, they don't have money to pay for you. Okay, so they don't have a revenue. And you have to sometimes give guarantee waivers. Okay, because they don't have access to guarantees. Okay, so and the second case I would like to say in terms of BNDES, BNDES has also a tradition supporting films and cartoons. And I'm very proud of this job, and we have like 25 producers. We have a program called Cinema Perto de Você, movie just near you. So we are stimulating people to go to the movie and to see Brazilian movies. This is also a soft power. Okay, I'm concluding. So just to give you one example, we have this little Brazilian Indian called Tainá. It's a trilogy of films, and we have 23 awards for best film in national and international festivals. 2 million spectators, but more important, we take 2 million students educational projects in Brazil using Tainá, because Tainá will teach you to preserve the nature, to help the animals, to preserve the Indians. So it's really talking about education, but it's a lot of SDG involved here. So you're talking about SDG 4, education. We are talking about human empowerment, SDG 5, of course, employment, SDG 8, but also climate action, protecting nature, and also making us living together in the better terms. So it's also SDG 16. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Lavinia Barros de Castro is a senior advisor of the president of BNDES. I like what Lavinia says about creativity being contagious, but I also think that when we think of the issue of culture as commodity, which is hugely challenging, we need to constantly remind ourselves of the intrinsic and the extrinsic. So there's the extrinsic value and there's the intrinsic value. And they don't operate separately. They operate a bit like the yin and the yang. So how do we align to that as well? It gives me great pleasure to come through to Mr. Peter Malinga. Peter is the principal social economist at the African Development Bank. Peter, how do the initiatives that you work with contribute to job creation and also empowerment? And I wonder if you could use the Africa Continental Free Trade Area as something to hang that hook on, if you may. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, moderator, fellow panelists, all protocol observed. So I come from the African Development Bank, and many of you traditionally know that FDB finances energy, water and sanitation, agriculture, and transport. This space of the creative sector is not very old in our type of intervention. There is some statistics that I want to talk about, which brought some attention of the bank. They are talking about, by 2030, young Africans are expected to make up 42% of the world youth. In Africa itself, 75% of this population will be under the age of 35 years. Yeah. So this is a wake-up call, even for development banks like FDB. We acknowledge that in an era where creativity drives innovation and economic growth, the cultural and creative industries stand at the forefront of transformative change. The culture and creative economy offered unprecedented opportunities for inclusive growth and cultural exchange. In light of that, I'm going to share some of the interventions that the bank has done Some are ongoing and some are new. Some of you have heard of what we call the Fashionomics. Fashionomics was started by AFDB in 2015. It's targeting micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in the fashion and textile industry. Fashionomics Africa has organized a number of master classes and workshops to equip fashion entrepreneurs with essential skills. They have also done incubator and accelerator programs. They have done sustainable fashion competitions. Sometimes they run annual competitions and grants are given to winners. And they also have now a digital marketplace and mobile app, which was introduced and is facilitating access to international and regional markets for Africa fashion entrepreneurs. According to the recent studies by Fashionomics Africa, Africa-based fashion industries are facing great challenges regarding weak business environments, a scarcity of skilled and unskilled workers, a high cost of production, lack of credibility in the eyes of financiers and investors, including poor infrastructure. That's why this Fashionomics Africa initiative is ongoing. It started in 2015 and still moving on. That is one of them. I'll go to the second one. This one is the biggest, one of our biggest flagship programs. For some of you who are familiar, this is taking place in Nigeria. It's called IDIS. IDIS in full is Investment in Digital and Creative Enterprises. This is a very, very large program of $618 million. We are collaborating with the AFD, Agence Française de Développement, and also the Islamic Development Bank. And also Bank of Industry in Nigeria that is providing 45 million. And also we're expecting to get some money from the private sector and institutional investors to the tune of 217 million. This is a very, very big support program for the creative sector. This program is targeting over 200 technology and creative startups, aiming to create 6.4 billion for Nigeria's economy, $6.4 billion, and create 6 million new jobs for young Nigerians. So this program provides both financial and non-financial support to digital technology SMEs. Because of time, I will not say much, but all this information, you can get it online. But this is one of our largest programs. Yeah. So I'll go to another one. Let me just talk a bit more about IDIS. IDIS is expected also to create 552,000 direct and 5,580,000 indirect positions. So you can see the direct and indirect jobs that this is creating from this catalytic financing instrument. We also have another initiative called Pan-African Fashion Initiative. In February 2024, the AFDB, the African Development Bank, in partnership with the African Union and other stakeholders, launched the Pan-African Fashion Initiative. This platform facilitates stakeholder engagement, dialogue, and policy development to advance the Africa fashion industry within the context of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. This initiative aims at fully transforming Africa fashion industry into a significant economic driver by fostering intra-Africa trade, enhancing value chains, and promoting sustainable practices. So this is another initiative on fashion, which we are working on with the UN, with African Union. In Rwanda, where I work, where I'm based, somebody talked about data here. You know, the problem with the creative sector is very informal. So when the Minister of Youth came to our office and said she wanted support to support the creative sector, we said, where do we start from? Because the data is not there. It's so informal. These are one man or two man or two women startups. So what I told them, let's start with the feasibility study. Because I know that the IDIS in Nigeria, they did a very good feasibility study, made a bankable proposal, and that's how they managed to generate 618 million. So in order for me to convince the Minister of Finance to request for funding for the creative sector, we did a feasibility study. It's finished. It was finished in December, and we also have a program design, and we hope to have a new project starting next year. We also did the same in Kenya, We have done a feasibility study and come up with a program design, and we also hope to have a new project next year. So this basically, let me just wind up. I know I'm time, but just 3 things. All the studies that we did, both in Rwanda and Kenya, they revealed 3 things, which the creative sector express. They really need quality infrastructure in terms of innovation hubs, theaters, arts and craft centers, entrepreneurship hubs, centers of excellence for production. They don't have this. We have so much for sports, but we don't have much for creative industry, especially in these 2 countries. I don't know about the other countries. So then when it comes to access to finance, they say when they go to the commercial banks, interest is so high. So where do we get money? So they want low interest rate loans, de-risked loans, and that's how the African Development Bank come in, and also a dedicated creative sector innovation fund. Finally, enabling environment. The creative sector suffer a lot with intellectual property. They are the most pirated. You know, it's very easy to pirate their music, film, and literature. So they feel they need the government to come up with a policy and institutional environment to protect them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I want to just note that whilst we don't have space for questions, and I do apologize for that, everybody is here. Please grab their arm as they climb off the stage if you'd like to get their card, if you'd like to find out more. Before we close off with Remy Riou, who is the chairman of FIX, I just want to say it is a wake-up call in terms of the youth market. We know that. And it's also a wake-up call because the youth market does allow for an easier access in terms of the creative sector and the sports sector. We have touched on, so briefly, on IP, technology, enterprise, micro, small, and medium enterprise, also the informal sector and informal startups, and also infrastructure. But this is a conversation that I believe can go so much further. And it's on that note that I'd like to take Remy Riou and invite him onto the stage. Remy, we have just discussed the main issues. Is Remy here? Remy? Ah, merci, monsieur. Are you able to hear me? Can I ask that you join us on the stage? So for your reference, Remy is the chairman of FICS, FIX, and I appreciate it if you could offer us a closing, Remy, on the conversation. Thank you.
So good afternoon. Thank you so much for the invitation and for the inauguration of the arena, which is a first in the context of the Finance in Common summits, and that we decided to invest in so that issues that do not look serious for bankers to demonstrate as forcefully and clearly as possible that they are. And so I really want to thank each and every of you, the panelists, the participants, people online, to pay attention to this particular session. So that's the one on culture and arts. I know there will be other sessions in other serious issues in this very arena, notably on sports for development, after what we did with UNESCO and others on the eve of the Paris Olympics. So really I wanted to come here as the chair of the Finance in Common initiative to thank you and say that we consider your work as important for itself, and it has to be properly financed, but also because development is not only about infrastructure, it's not only about networks, it's you are developing yourself. So meaning it comes from your representations, it's come from your mind, And artists, culture, museums are so important also in this regard. And of course, the pride that it creates for the communities that has to be fully understood. This is an avenue we took at AFD, but probably Tiffaine explained. So we have, we can be criticized for that, but we are proud of it. We have invested, I don't know, about $500 million now since, so I came to AFD about 9 years ago. What's interesting is so 50% is in Africa, so, but meaning 50% is in other regions of the world. 50% is loans. So you can finance arts and culture not only through grants, because it can be long-term loans, concessional loans, but the meaning of it, it's not financial. The meaning of it is arts and culture create value for the communities so that you are able to repay a loan to 10, 20 years afterwards. And it's also, especially from our subsidiary Proparco, it's also investments. Because we believe that we could take risks accompanying artists, because, well, it seems obvious, except sometimes for us that if you're a well-known and talented artist, you earn a living out of it, of course, and sometimes you make fortunes, which is fine. And I don't go into the projects, but what's interesting is also 50% is on cultural heritage. So the Museum of Abomey in Benin, Robben Island Archives here in Cape Town, Lalibela in Ethiopia, and 50% is cultural industries. So we try to set that balance right, again, with the idea of inspiring others to join, other banks, other players. On this, I want to highlight, because it's close to my heart, you know, President Macron made that bold move of restitution, especially again in Benin. That's the reason why we're investing in the museum. And I'm proud that we had this coalition building up between and I was with Dr. Noel Luoga, the president of the National Museum of Tanzania a few weeks ago. He's the co-chair of an initiative between the president of the European museums, so not only from France, but from Germany, UK, Belgium, Italy, with all the directors, presidents of the museums here in Africa. Because the idea is restitution is one thing. Question is exhibitions. Question is how people will come to the museums, have pleasure and be inspired. It's not only about identity or putting people in the same, with the same artifacts and representations. It's about opening up our collective minds and shared opportunities. And sorry, I'm late. My last message is somehow art and culture is a bit of a hidden gem, treasure in many public development banks, actually. Sometimes they're not admitting it, but they're doing it. So I remember I was at the headquarters of Cassa Depositi e Prestiti. Antonella is here. And you have paintings from Poussin, or you have masterpieces, a collection that is fantastic. EIB also has, and the World Bank also, they have a fantastic collection. I know in this very coalition, the Caribbean Development Banks, I think, is very active. our dear friends from the Development Bank of Rwanda. In France, Caisse des dépôts et consignations is financing not one, but 2 symphonic orchestras. Yeah. So, just examples that it has to be structured, it has to be shared, but as always for strategic issues, this is already there. Yeah. This is already there, and we count on you to challenge us and to push us to make it more explicit, make it more strategic, and turn, of course, then the rest of our instruments also in this direction. We've made a first study. So probably you mentioned, Tiffaine, the figures and the key elements. We will publish it on the website of Finance in Common. A bit like the reference book, it will be only for now for consultation, so that please ask other banks, other parties to have a look and declare or propose their own initiatives, their own collections, what they are doing, so that we have a better picture of what's already happening, and from that, with your help, try to structure something more convincing. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur. Thank you so much to Rémi Rio. And we are a few minutes over, but that doesn't mean that we're going to cut away our poet. I want to invite them. Let's have you back again, Kabiso Vili, and we look forward to a closing of the event.
Ooh-wee. Thank you so much for having me. I've been given the momentous but exciting task of trying to summarize what we've spoken about today in a very short poem for us. So hopefully maybe all our speakers might be able to hear their voices in this, and then everybody that's been here today might be able to walk away with a quick little snippet for them to remember. It starts with the drum beat. In an arena filled with sports for the healing, when even the soccer players sing struggle songs. We are a society that can't be separated from culture and art, because it always plays in our hearts as it shapes the very evolution of our society. This is where the vulnerable find their voice, so that we are all equal. Look how we collaborate when we are ready to grow, reflect, develop, innovate. When asked the question, why do arts and culture matter? The answers are many and varied, shaping identities, offering reconciliation, challenging injustices, with pillars that are intimately connected, enriching lives and driving innovation. Today, the arts claim their platform in finance and business to remind us creativity is the heart and soul of every nation, a friend that's part of our childhood, assets we are born with, offering opportunity for partnership. We discover the parallels of sports and film and banks and countries and story and humanity, how we begin to unify and form history here, right now, together. The many stars the arts can touch, from environmental change, sustainable growth, mental wellness, heritage restoration. The impact is ready to be scaled, included in national strategies, arts to build bridges across the gender gap so no one is left behind. We do not only use arts and culture to reflect, but to enable, as we Trojan horse our way into shifting perceptions and practices, as we craft safety and safe places and reimagining structures that allow us to create more. How do we value the creative asset and change the narrative? art, sports, and culture shows us its magnitude is larger than just entertainment. Its social impact studied expand even beyond the African context, supported into international markets, providing access for creativity into business and digitization and policy that holds artists accounted and advocated for, how we maximize the value of the African continent, and how this creativity stays contagious, connects us, transforms us, betters our lives, shakes the dust. Culture challenges us. The value is innumerable if we find new ways to finance arts for support and education and human empowerment. The arts makes the links into the SDGs. The arts can begin to teach us, remind us all of our own creativity so that we could be our own drivers of transformation. When we believe in the arts, we believe in change and a society that holds its heart at its core. May this be a reminder of the power this work can achieve when valued accordingly and with just enough courageous risks to find these hidden gems. Thank you.
It couldn't have been said better. Kabiso Vili, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thank you so much to our team. I know it was tough. The sound was tough. The speed was tough. But we certainly, as we heard, got some great, great insights out of it. Thank you so much for making the time. It's hugely appreciated. That was up.
Coming home, then I'll be at your door. When I'll be coming home, I plan to let you know the longing of my heart, the wish I carry high. Whenever we're apart, it takes me through the night. When I look deep into your eyes, when I look deep into your eyes, when I'll be coming home, and I am on my way. When I'll be coming home, I wanna see you play the music of your heart. I'm followed by your light. Whenever we're apart, into your eyes. When I look deep into your eyes, oh, when I look deep into your eyes, when I look deep into your eyes, when I look deep into your eyes.
Secondhand, I felt a bit forgotten. Not your plan, but now the days of silence outgrow the fun things we have done. But tell me, do you wanna carry on? Plants don't grow without water, and they cave when it's cold. We could go till we're older. Put your head on my shoulder and let's enjoy the ride. When we started, our wishes aligned. We were like yin and yang combined. Now the tables have turned. Can we live and unlearn? You tell me. Plants don't grow without water.
This is the final call for the screening of Sport of Solutions. Come through, guys. If you're standing around there, come through, come watch, come learn. We're about to see some magic. if you are in the arena, please come join us in the front for the screening of Sport of Solutions. You can come up and then. No, no, not you, you won't. Is it evening? Is it evening? Evening, good evening? Or is it good afternoon? Are we? Okay, let's go with evening. Good evening, everyone. Okay, it's us here. We are all present in the room here, and we are all gonna watch magic right now. Things that will blow our mind, take us to worlds we have never seen before. So I need you to show me and give me all the energy. It's been a long day, but we're about to witness magic. Good evening, everyone. Lekker. Okay, no, guys, don't go sit there at the back. Come to the front. Come to the middle. Come join us in the middle. We want love from everybody that's here, because we're about to speak to people that have gone above and beyond to make magic happen. So by all means, come and be a part of this with us. My guys ready over there. The D-Lab team that brought them. Yo, you guys brought the gears whole day. Come sit, boy. Come in the middle. Away, away. Okay, let's go. Good evening, everyone. Yeah. And we're going to clap hands also. So normally the panels are very like reserved. Today I don't want that. If you're in the world, we're showing love and making the noise. Yes. So this evening we are joined on panel by the great Mr. David Blau, the director. Clap. Then we are joined by Sino and Bonelani, the actors of the movie. And then we are also joined by Claire, who is the president of the Institute of Solutions. The four of them have come together to make an amazing movie, which is Sport of Solutions. Sport of Solutions, because all of us have seen sport and we've seen what sport can do for the youth. So today we are here to see how they all got here. So, Mr. David, where did this start? How did we get here?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll make it short. Before a movie, A Sport Named Solutions was a book, and before being a book, it's an experience, because I've been working in the sport and development sector for over 15 years now, and I've always experienced, and I'm sure that some of you in the audience as well, experienced contradictory factors. The idea that sport has so much potential in terms of impact, and we all spend our time trying to convince donors, and this is what we're doing here today, that's what we're going to do tomorrow in the arena, that sports not just only sports on the field, it can be much more than that. And so that's an advocacy that we need to do on a daily basis, but at the same time to also show that if you really want to have impact, what does it take? You can't just put a ball on the field and run a football session. It's what methods, what expertise, what kind of coaching do you need to reach that impact? And so I wanted to showcase those solutions and those great initiatives that you see around the world. And so there were 9 in the book that I wrote, and I thought that, well, that needed to come alive on screen. And so out of those 9 projects, I selected some of my favorites. And so, yeah, it became a movie.
I'm so excited to watch it as well. So thank you for giving your gift, but not only as a filmmaker, but also going, how can we tell the other people's stories? How can we make more happen with what you have? So we appreciate your efforts. Guys, clap, clap, clap. It's amazing over here. Then we have Sine and Bulelani. So you guys have been part of the Waves of Change project for a while. How has that impacted your life?
1, 2.
Okay.
So I'm Bulelani, as you just said. So for Waves for Change, like I'm gonna speak about Waves for Change, like as a whole, as an organization. So the impact that I have in my life, it was able to make me to see how I want my life to look like, and also how I view the other people and also the other communities that I came from. So it also helped me to be able to step out of my comfort zone, and also it helped me to be able to self-regulate at myself so that I know how I'm feeling, and also I know what should I expect in kind of like in different feelings that I have. And also it helped me to be able to focus on my mental health so that I know my state of being, how it looks like, and also what I'm looking forward in my life so that I don't go in the wrong ways, and also being able to do a sport so that I can develop myself and also I can develop my community. And also for the film, yeah.
David's out here making movie stars also.
Yeah, I must say I'm really excited to have a screening here in Cape Town, because we did the premiere in Paris last spring, and those two came over and they grabbed the mic and they were amazing, and they were the superstars of that screening. So it's great to be back in Cape Town and do the screening here with them.
From Cape Town to the world out here. And you, Sinu, how has the experience been for you?
Yo, it's been an amazing experience. You know, just Waves for Change has made me stronger, you know, and braver to just be myself, act like myself, and just have a say. You know, it makes me feel like I can just have a voice, you know, and I don't feel judged. And yeah, it's been an amazing experience, and that's where I feel like I belong, you know.
So is this your acting debut?
Not yet, eh?
You're going to feature Oscar for you one day. You're going to get an Oscar award one day for your acting over here that you have.
Yeah, I think we both already have an Oscar, eh? I think. Yeah.
And then Claire, so firstly, thank you for joining us from, I'll say, the Institute of the Solutions. Yeah. It's such a great, I'll say a great name where you go, we are fixing things, we are sorting things out. Tell us about I'll say the future of the Institute as well.
Yeah. In fact, not the Institute of the Solutions, but maybe the Institute of Sports of Solutions.
Sports of
because
Solutions.
I have not the solutions for all, and you too. Yeah, sorry. That we would like to share with you today is, in fact, the film going to highlight, you're going to see that on the screen, what's work. And within its dynamic, David and I and all the ecosystem would like to ask a question, how to push further, and what we can do together to push further with this dynamic. So what we know, our conviction, in fact, is that solutions are the crossroads of fields of different actors. It's mean researchers, founders, public sector, private sector, And so with these collaborations, we decide to create, in fact, and we're going to launch in 1 month, the Institute of Sport of Solutions. That will be not the same name, but we can't reveal it today. So for the moment, it's the Institute of Sport of Solutions. It's a little bit long, but we're going to have the new name in 1 month. You have to wait, sorry. And in fact, that's why with this institute, it's to bring all the actors together. And we're going to have several initiatives. And one of these initiatives, it's a panorama of the sectors. And the objective of that is shed light on the sector trends, innovation of the sectors, and new investment models. And as you understand, it's a collective project that makes public and private sector together. And today we would like to have a special thanks for the private sector, the public sector, and AFD, so French Development Bank, because we know that it's a difficult context, and in these difficult times, if I can say that, the AFD and the support of AFD is very important for all of us and the sector too. So thanks to the AFD. And so we will be trying to discuss with all of you just after to join the dynamic and to make sure that we can grow the sector and these initiatives and for the best. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Round of applause for all of. So we will proceed to watch the movie now, and then afterwards you can ask them questions as well because they'll be around. So thank you very much.
Thank
everybody.
you. Thank you.
That's mine also. Number 4.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Le sport est un incroyable passeur d'émotions. Mais son rôle est-il uniquement de nous émouvoir au rythme des exploits ? Le sport est un incroyable passeur d'émotions. Mais son rôle est-il uniquement de nous émouvoir au rythme des exploits de nos athlètes préférés ? Depuis une quinzaine d'années, j'ai le privilège de parcourir le monde et découvrir le sport sous un angle inattendu. J'ai la chance de rencontrer des héros, des héroïnes du quotidien dont l'engagement laisse penser que finalement, le sport le plus utile au collectif est celui dont on parle moins. Pour libérer son potentiel, nous devons changer notre regard sur le sport et l'utiliser délibérément comme un levier de transformation sociale. Voici l'histoire de femmes et d'hommes pour qui le XXIe siècle est déjà celui du sport des solutions. Rio, ville emblématique où le ciel et l'océan partagent la même couleur. Notre voyage nous emmène voir ce qui se trouve au dos de la carte postale, loin de l'éclat des plages et des gratte-ciel. Direction le quartier de Cajou, où la réalité quotidienne contraste avec l'insouciance carioca. Mais où s'ouvre aussi le champ de l'éducation par le sport.
Caju é um bairro que já foi um paraíso ambiental, já foi um lugar de praias, e desde os anos 40, 50, começou a receber a indústria naval e as empresas que se instalaram aqui para dar apoio de logística e construção. Então, desde os anos 40, o Caju vem se tornando um bairro industrial, recebendo essas empresas e impactando o ambiente. Então, hoje, a situação do bairro é essa, de caminhões, poeira e muita sujeira. E hoje são quase 40 mil moradores vivendo nessa condição e sendo impactados, né, pela operação dessas empresas que deixa o lugar insalubre, deixa o lugar sem qualidade de vida. Então são quase 80 anos de história de industrialização, com pouco cuidado ambiental e com pouco cuidado com a sociedade. E isso é uma coisa que não nos parece que vai mudar nos próximos anos. Então, o nosso desafio é gerar educação e qualidade de vida para que a população consiga lidar com toda essa perda de direitos, de estrutura que está presente hoje no bairro.
Everton, 18 ans, est l'un des bénéficiaires des actions dont parle Felipe. Depuis son plus jeune âge, il participe aux nombreuses activités proposées par l'association. Et aujourd'hui, c'est à son tour d'aider les enfants de Caju. Lorsqu'on déambule dans les rues, on croise inévitablement Danilo, très impliqué dans la vie de son quartier.
Sou presidente da Associação de Moradores da Vila Clemente Ferreira há 9 anos, mas sou moradora do Caju há 44 anos. Dia de domingo a gente faz aquele churrascão juntando todo mundo e é muito bom. E eu gosto muito de morar aqui. O clima aqui é maravilhoso. A gente tem conflitos e conflitos, mas convivendo muito bem aqui. Você sendo uma pessoa do bem, você vive muito tempo onde você está e é muito bom, entendeu?
Em casa eu moro com meu pai, com meu irmão e meu primo que chegou recentemente. Vou pegar o quadro para explicar para vocês. Antes era eu, meu pai, que está no trabalho agora, minha mãe, meu irmão que está lá embaixo. Só que minha mãe veio a falecer em 2021, no dia 11 de junho, devido a um câncer que ela teve. Aí desde então ficou só a mãe na casa, e antes da morte da minha mãe eu não tinha tanta aproximação com meu pai. Era mais fechado, falava menos, tinha um amor, é claro, eu amava muito ele, só que hoje eu sinto que eu amo ele mais do que amava na época e tenho mais parceria com ele. Hoje eu sou o que eu sou por causa da Gold Letra. Quando minha mãe estava doente em 2021, eu ia para as aulas e podia afastar um pouquinho na mente do ambiente ruim que estava. Fazia o esporte, fazia meu tênis de mesa, me sentia bem fazendo aquilo. Ficava do lado dos meus amigos e consegui me levar. Estou há 8, 7 meses como monitor e está sendo algo maravilhoso para mim. Cada dia tá melhor. E é isso. Sou grato pelo que eu tenho hoje, pelo que eu faço, pelo que eu consigo conquistar.
Everton participe à l'un des programmes de la Fondation Gold Letra, qui vise à former des jeunes âgés de 15 à 18 ans pour devenir éducateurs.
A nossa bandeira é a educação. É a educação através do esporte. É inserir de novo um cidadão, uma criança que talvez tivesse sido colocada meio um pouco para fora, é mostrar para ela que sim, ela tem capacidade. Então, o esporte, na verdade, é uma isca. Né? A criança vem na busca de fazer esporte, e através do esporte é como se fosse uma ferramenta pedagógica, e através do esporte a gente introduz valores de cidadania. Então a criança vem com ar como se fosse uma grande brincadeira, e no fundo a gente está trabalhando uma reflexão, um pensamento, porque tem sempre as rodas de conversa, tem sempre a participação deles, e é realmente essa importância dos recursos. Você não pode chegar impondo um método. Esse método tem que ser construído junto com as pessoas, porque também tem que ser respeitado o que cada um pensa, o que cada um sente, e a cultura local. Então acho que é isso, a gente abre um espaço de reflexão, um espaço de estudo, um espaço acadêmico, mas com respeito àquela pessoa que está chegando.
Olha, se você estiver na Gol de Letra, for uma aluna compromissada, e você também pode.
Então, eu sempre brinco que se a gente não conseguir mudar a vida de todas as crianças que passam pela Gol de Letra, eu falo que dos monitores a gente consegue. Porque a gente acompanha todo o percurso, né? Vê eles pequenininhos, coisa e tal, e depois eles estão aqui junto com a gente, né? Eu acho que eles são o maior cases que a Gol de Letra tem, são os nossos monitores. Né? E o importante dos monitores é que eles falam exatamente a mesma língua da nossa criança. Então, eles são um estímulo para todas as nossas crianças, talvez mais até do que os próprios professores. Eles têm esse poder, porque eles não são só os monitores das nossas crianças, eles também são os vizinhos, são parentes, são pessoas que estão ali no dia a dia daquela criança. Então, as crianças se miram muito naquele espelho, né?
Monitor é um processo de adaptação onde você aprende coisas, percebe coisas e trabalha nelas, e é show, é bom. Também é legal também a forma como você é visto pelas crianças, tio Everton, tio Everton, tio me ajuda a fazer isso, tio, eu quero fazer isso. É legal também ser tio, o monitor também te dá o título de tio, e é bom esse título. Teve uma frase que eu desenvolvi na minha mente no começo da monitoria, que é: a camisa azul pesa, mas ela é leve. Porque o peso dela é o peso da referência que você passa a ser quando está usando o azul da monitoria. E o leve é que é leve, você está na Gol de Letra. A Gol de Letra é um ambiente leve. Então a camisa azul pesa, mas ela é leve. Enquanto monitor, quero trazer para os educandos um pouco daquilo que eu senti. Não exatamente como eu senti, porque eu sou uma pessoa diferente deles, de cada um, mas eu quero trazer um pouco só, que é a base educacional que eu tive, a dedicação que eu aprendi, os valores sociais que eu aprendi, que mesmo trabalhando com esporte, aprendi bastante coisa também sobre a sociedade, principalmente onde a gente vive aqui no Caju.
O Gol de Letra dentro do Caju é muito importante, que tira as crianças da rua, da vulnerabilidade que eles têm. Não fica aquela situação de estar no meio da rua, vem de repente um tiroteio e as crianças estão no meio da rua. Então, estar dentro do Gol de Letra é uma coisa que abrangiu muito, ajuda muitas mães que trabalham, que precisam de estudar, que vai lá fazer um curso, mas o filho está lá fazendo um esporte, fazendo uma outra educação dentro do Gol de Letra. Então, é muito importante para o Caju.
Eu sempre falo, para as nossas crianças não falta capacidade, falta oportunidade. E é essa oportunidade que a Gol de Letra quer dar. É essa oportunidade que sempre a Gol de Letra quis dar. Né? Porque existe esse clichê de achar que criança de favela não serve, não presta, não sabe ler, não sabe pensar. Não, o que falta é oportunidade. E é isso que a gente quer dar.
Pour l'association, le sport est une manière d'apprendre, mais aussi de rendre acteur. Comme d'autres jeunes avant lui, Everton développe sa capacité d'agir et se voit offrir l'opportunité de transmettre à son tour.
Meu sonho é ser melhor do que eu sou hoje. Amanhã eu quero ser um Everton melhor, um monitor melhor, um filho melhor para o meu pai. E é isso, quero ser cada versão do Everton melhor a cada dia. Esse é meu sonho.
En suivant le chemin d'Everton, on comprend comment les jeunes de Cajou s'entraident et peuvent aspirer à devenir les meilleures versions d'eux-mêmes. Mais c'est aussi en agissant auprès des familles que Gold et Letra apportent des réponses à d'autres enjeux, comme ceux des inégalités entre les femmes et les hommes. Mais alors, comment le sport peut-il favoriser l'émancipation de toutes et tous ? C'est à Paris, dans le vibrant quartier de la Goutte d'Or, que nous pouvons trouver des réponses à cette question. Ici, le sport est organisé pour servir le lien social, notamment pour les jeunes filles et les mamans.
Arrête. Bien joué, repartez en marchant. Voilà, allez on y va. Top.
J'ai marqué. Ah, c'est bon.
Bah, ici on est au Square Léon. C'est en plein cœur du quartier de la Goutte d'Or. On fait du sport féminin sur l'espace public. Ce qui est important pour nous, c'est que les filles puissent pratiquer librement le sport sur le square, mais aussi qu'elles le pratiquent avec les garçons du quartier. L'idée, c'est pas de chasser les garçons et de prendre la place, mais c'est de faire avec, et d'être en cohésion.
Ça représente la Goutte d'Or. Là, vous voyez, là, il y a écrit la Goutte d'Or. C'est écrit. Moi, j'aurais pas connu le foot si mon père il l'aurait pas fait. Il m'a appris et j'ai commencé à bien aimer. J'ai joué.
On est tous ensemble, on s'aime tous.
Bon, maintenant, on est une famille. On gagne à ça et on perd ensemble.
C'est de dépasser certains stéréotypes. C'est de montrer aussi qu'il y a de la joie à pratiquer du football et les filles qui passent à côté, bah, elles voient les filles en train de sourire, en train de courir, en train de jouer en toute sécurité. Elles ont envie aussi d'intégrer l'équipe.
L'association Les Enfants de la Goutte d'Or, c'est la première association du quartier à s'adresser aux enfants et aux jeunes avec des activités, loisirs éducatifs, activités sportives, parentalité, accompagnement à la scolarité, enfin toute une série d'activités qui sont autant d'outils pour amener les enfants à bien grandir.
Ça va, tu vas bien? Bah oui, et toi?
C'est un quartier qui est classé politique de la ville, donc avec des freins qui sont liés au manque d'emploi, à la pauvreté, aux difficultés liées à la scolarisation. C'est une réalité qui peut paraître difficile, qui l'est au quotidien pour certains, avec des familles qui sont monoparentales, avec des mamans qui se lèvent tôt pour aller travailler, qui partent avant que leur enfant se lève. Il n'y a pas forcément l'accompagnement qui devrait exister au sein d'une famille.
J'ai 7 enfants. Je suis une maman de 7 enfants. 6 garçons, une fille. Jacques et Nasser, au début, c'est eux qui m'ont aidé un peu. Pour que mes enfants, mon premier fils, qui ne drape pas. D'être une maman avec les enfants ici à la cour, c'est très, très, très dur. Mais une fois qu'on est devenu forte, il y a beaucoup de choses qui se passent après ça. Mais c'est pas facile. Pas facile.
Les activités qu'on propose, on espère et on constate que ça permet aux femmes d'être plus à l'aise dans leur vie, plus à l'aise dans leur famille, plus à l'aise dans le quartier. La marche sportive, c'est une petite famille de femmes qui sont très différentes les unes les autres, qui ne vivent pas forcément du tout les mêmes histoires et qui du coup appréhendent l'autre en même temps que de s'occuper de sa santé, ce qui est quand même un petit peu formidable.
Et alors?
Aujourd'hui, la plupart des femmes qui viennent depuis un moment sont en bien meilleure forme physique. Et puis l'aspect mental, c'est-à-dire que se retrouver, pouvoir rigoler, pouvoir discuter, pouvoir échanger, pouvoir danser sur l'escalier, faire le tour de Montmartre, ben ça fait du bien à la tête.
Chacun monte à son rythme, les filles, d'accord? Voilà. Allez, on y va, c'est parti.
On rigolait ensemble, on dit des bêtises. Ça, c'est vrai. C'est comme de la famille, quoi. Quand on se voit, on est très soudés, on s'entend bien. Et puis, des fois, on est pressé que le samedi matin arrive, quoi.
Le sport aux enfants de la Goutte d'Or, c'est ça. C'est du foot, du taekwondo, body taekwondo, marche sportive féminine. Mais même ça, c'est toujours la porte dérobée pour aller chercher autre chose.
Non, en fait, on revient demain. Sûr. On y va cet après-midi s'entraîner avec les autres. C'est à 13h là-bas. Ouais. T'as des sous pour acheter, non?
Là, c'est pour acheter un appart.
Quand je te dis j'ai eu bon temps.
Non,
il m'a dit, est-ce que Draman il passe te voir? J'ai dit, moi, à chaque fois je le vois.
Moi, je suis à l'association là, bientôt 40 ans. Ce parcours-là, c'est une histoire incroyable. La meilleure façon de la rencontrer, c'est quand je rencontre des gens. Un père de famille vient dire à sa femme et ses enfants, c'est lui qui m'a appris à lire. Et là, ça, c'est plus que tout l'or du monde.
L'association, c'est aussi un refuge pour les enfants, pour les jeunes. Et par exemple, l'accompagnement à la scolarité.
Mes enfants, ils ont fréquenté ici. Quand ils étaient petits, hein. Ils ont réussi. Ils ont des parents qui n'ont pas été à l'école. Comment on peut aider nos enfants pour faire aider aux devoirs? On ne sait rien. Donc les enfants, ils ne vont pas s'en sortir.
Mauvais départ ne veut pas dire arriver foireuse. Et ça, moi, je le dis toujours aux jeunes. Mais c'est la détermination qui fait la différence et la volonté d'accompagner. La volonté de faire réussir les autres, c'est qu'ils grandissent avec sérénité. C'est ça pour moi la réussite.
Et puis agir sur la durée et le long terme, c'est très important parce qu'on est sur un développement de compétences qui peut se faire qu'à travers un travail au long cours.
Et que ce soit Jacques, que ce soit Lydie, que ce soit moi, ça fait bientôt 30 ans qu'on travaille ensemble. Et en fait, il y a beaucoup d'amour qu'on reçoit au quotidien. Il suffit de marcher dans le quartier, de rencontrer des parents ou des plus jeunes ou des moins jeunes qui sont passés par le club. La manière dont ils nous regardent, quand ils partagent un moment avec nous, on s'est rendu compte qu'à un moment dans leur vie, on a été présents.
Le sport de demain, mais je dirais pour nous le sport d'aujourd'hui, le sport c'est d'abord un outil d'éducation, c'est un outil d'insertion, c'est un outil de construction identitaire. L'objectif de l'activité sportive, c'est d'amener des personnes à se développer harmonieusement avec elles-mêmes et avec les autres.
Trouver un cadre avec des gens bienveillants, mais qui leur permettent aussi, grâce au sport, d'évoluer et d'évoluer pour eux et dans la société.
À la Goutte d'Or, le sport permet de renforcer les ressources de chacun, de développer des relations qui deviennent une richesse pour les jeunes et leurs familles. Mais cette porte dérobée peut-elle vraiment être empruntée par tout le monde ?
C'est ça notre objectif, l'épanouissement. Si les gens sont épanouis au sein de la structure, s'ils sont heureux d'être avec nous, s'ils sont heureux d'être dans leur association, être enfant de la Goutte d'Or, nous, ça nous suffit.
Comme ça?
Après les rues animées de Paris, nous retrouvons celle de Thiès, située à 70 km de Dakar. Au cœur du Sénégal, pays de la Teranga, l'hospitalité prend vie. C'est une ville pivot à l'histoire riche, marquée par l'emblématique ligne ferroviaire Dakar-Bamako, désormais silencieuse. Thiès est aussi ce carrefour où certains jeunes se retrouvent sans repère. Perdus, parfois incarcérés, ils cherchent à trouver une place au sein de la société. L'histoire qui suit est celle de leur quête vers une seconde chance. À la gare routière de Thiès, nous retrouvons Jacques, l'un des éducateurs de l'association pour le sourire d'un enfant.
On est à la gare routière de Thiès, là où se trouvent les enfants qui quittent leur famille pour se réfugier quelque part. Donc c'est là où je les trouve pour essayer de les convaincre, les amener au foyer, pour les sauver des difficultés de la rue.
Jacques réalise régulièrement des maraudes pour recueillir les enfants laissés pour compte qui vivent dans la rue. L'objectif, leur offrir un hébergement et un nouveau départ.
Voilà l'endroit où les enfants fréquentent. Ils sont venus pour jouer. Et là, j'ai rencontré deux enfants. Je les ai expliqué les raisons qui nous ont amenés ici. Je les ai expliqué qu'on détient un centre. Ils ont dit qu'ils sont d'accord. On va y aller. Allez.
À la prison de Thiès, il y a un quartier qui est réservé aux mineurs. Ce quartier a été construit par l'Association pour le sourire d'un enfant. Le principal objectif était de rompre le cycle de récidive et donc de ce fait permettre à ces jeunes l'émancipation et l'inclusion nécessaires pour une réinsertion durable.
Je connais l'association pas mal de temps, ça fait des années. J'étais un enfant normal. Et un jour, je commence à fréquenter des gens mauvais. Et en 2014, j'avais des problèmes pour l'association de malfaiteurs. Je suis allé en prison. C'est là-bas que je connais l'association. C'est là-bas que j'ai commencé à pratiquer l'escrime. J'ai même pas fait quelques mois en prison. J'ai oublié l'image devant la prison. Et chaque jour en prison, tu vois seulement les murs blancs. Oui.
Le parcours d'un jeune détenu à travers la pratique de l'escrime. La personne qui arrive dans la MAC de Thiès, qui va être là pendant un certain temps, est totalement déstabilisé. Le jeune qui a 14, 18 ans, qui vient d'un milieu familial, quel que soit le milieu familial, il est totalement déstabilisé. Ils arrivent ici dans un secteur où ils peuvent ne serait-ce que côtoyer les filles, discuter et apprendre en même temps. Je crois qu'à partir de là, le gosse qui est dans le système carcéral, il attend qu'une seule chose, c'est de pouvoir sortir et pratiquer et se changer un petit peu les idées à travers ça.
Je pense que ce qui est important de comprendre, c'est que nous ne pratiquons pas l'escrime sportif. C'est des principes de la pratique de l'escrime qui sont mobilisés pour travailler sur la psychologie des jeunes. Escrime et justice réparatrice a été réfléchie à la fois avec des psychologues et des psychiatres, avec des spécialistes de l'escrime et avec des éducateurs qui avaient une expérience de la population juvénile en situation de conflit avec la loi de plus de 20 ans.
Alors, effectivement, le cœur de la méthode, c'est à travers 5 notions essentielles, décliner le projet pédagogique et décliner les actions, le contenu des séances.
5 notions que sont l'identité, la socialisation, le contrôle de soi, la responsabilité et la cognition.
Et à partir de combats libres, on fait les combats auto-arbitrage.
L'arbitrage sur lequel nous travaillons beaucoup, à la fois pour comprendre que les jeunes comprennent ce que c'est qu'être jugé, mais aussi ce que c'est que juger.
Allez, halte. Ça, c'est les actions pour faire l'arbitrage.
Apprendre à collaborer à travers l'acceptation de la touche. C'est-à-dire, si je travaille avec quelqu'un, je touche, mais lui aussi doit me toucher. Ça, c'est déjà un procédé éducatif que je cite là, il y en a bien d'autres.
Nous avons atteint le taux de 0% de récidive. Donc ça, c'est un objectif extrêmement précieux qui est atteint. Non-récidive, reconstruction psychologique et derrière, donc, possibilité de réinsertion durable. Face aux effets apportés par cette méthode auprès de ces mineurs, nous l'avons adaptée à d'autres publics. Les mineurs en situation de conflit avec la loi qui, pour autant, ne sont pas détenus, mais sont confiés à l'association pour le soin d'un enfant par le tribunal, ainsi que les enfants en danger. Quand on travaille avec les enfants qui nous sont confiés, qui ont des parcours extrêmement compliqués, au-delà de la formation théorique, je pense qu'il faut une générosité énorme. Et donc, si la méthode escrime et justice réparatrice est un peu la colonne vertébrale de l'association, autour, il y a tout un écosystème qui vise à héberger les enfants.
Les foyers, c'est le village des enfants, là où les enfants habitent. C'est comme une famille. Nous essayons de réussir à la fois à d'autres pratiques. Demain, ils pourront faire ça pour eux.
Ça va?
Ah, ce n'est que du plaisir. Quand tu vois un enfant qui était d'un comportement qui reste à désirer, sa façon de gérer les choses jusqu'à devenir vraiment quelqu'un, tu ne te décourages jamais, quoi. Ce qui est intéressant, tu as toujours le courage de pratiquer avec eux.
Beaucoup changement. C'est grâce à l'association que je suis devenu responsable. Ce que j'ai vécu avec Jacques, je pense que c'est comme une formation. Donc je peux transmettre ça avec les enfants. Je parle souvent avec eux, de leur parler mon parcours et de leur dire le droit chemin, c'est pas que le chemin que vous pensez que vous faites des bêtises, avoir de l'argent facile, c'est pas ça le droit chemin. Le droit chemin, c'est le travail, d'avoir confiance en vous-même et vous respecter.
Engage. Il peut engager. Dégager.
En co-construisant, on forme en même temps, là en l'occurrence les surveillants pénitentiaires, afin que le déploiement national de la méthode s'appuie sur les personnels pénitentiaires eux-mêmes.
On termine toujours avec les jeux, histoire de prendre plaisir encore, d'oublier tout ce qu'on avait comme stress. Ça a été vraiment une bonne compétition, hein? Et les enfants ont bien amusé, quoi. Ils sont tout contents. Et on a chanté. C'est de l'ambiance. Ils ont fait de l'ambiance quand même.
Quand Jacques venait en prison, je laissais tout pour aller voir Jacques, pour lui parler, parce que c'est un conseil qui me motivait beaucoup, beaucoup, Jacques. Je le considère comme un papa.
Et je passe beaucoup plus de temps avec ces enfants de l'association que mes propres enfants même. Certains m'appellent Père Jacques. Père Jacques, Père Jacques. C'est un mot que j'entends tout le temps et ça me touche, ça me va droit au cœur, quoi. C'est la situation. On le vit.
Quand je suis trouvé en prison, j'ai sorti, beaucoup de gens disaient que Fallou ne va pas changer. Il va retourner en prison, il va devenir un bandit et tout ça. Mais grâce à l'association, l'escrime, tu dis que je ne vais jamais faire ces bêtises-là, je ne vais jamais retourner en prison. Je me suis marié, j'ai des enfants et je suis devenu responsable grâce à l'association.
Tout comme Fallou a su en tirer bénéfice, l'escrime et justice réparatrice offrent à ces jeunes une manière de construire leur identité et de gagner en autonomie. Sous la houlette de Jacques et de l'ensemble des encadrants de l'association, cette approche permet de changer radicalement les parcours de vie de ces enfants. Cette méthode montre à quel point le sport peut être un vivier d'innovation sociale. À Thiès, au Sénégal, mais aussi ailleurs, comme à Fribourg, en Allemagne. Ici, la douceur des déplacements est reine, avec le vélo comme symbole d'un mode de vie durable. Comment cette culture cycliste peut-elle être mobilisée pour changer les réalités sociales, en particulier lorsqu'il s'agit de personnes nouvellement arrivées? Dans cette ville située au cœur de la forêt noire, Lily, 27 ans, nous attend sur la place du marché. C'est elle qui va nous apporter les premières réponses à notre question, à travers son engagement bénévole au sein d'une association locale.
Freiburg zu leben ist sehr schön. Es ist eine sehr kleine und grüne Stadt. Es ist eine Universitätsstadt, also es gibt viele junge Menschen. Und was für mich das Schönste ist, ist, dass es eine Fahrradstadt ist. Die meisten Menschen bewegen sich mit dem Fahrrad und das Fahrrad ist das Hauptverkehrsmittel im Alltag. Also ich persönlich habe gemerkt, dass es wichtig ist, sich daran zu erinnern, dass wir nicht alle gleich aufwachsen, nicht alle die gleichen Privilegien haben. Und deshalb ist es so schön, etwas wie Bikebridge und so wertvoll, etwas wie Bikebridge zu haben, weil wir damit eine Gemeinsamkeit schaffen können und eben Frauen die Möglichkeit geben können, etwas zu lernen, mit dem sie sich freier bewegen können. Und damit eben auch Frauen aus verschiedenen Kulturen und gesellschaftlichen Hintergründen zusammenzubringen. Und ich denke, es ist ein Menschenrecht, sich frei bewegen zu können. Und das ist etwas, was wir mit Bikebridge mitgeben können.
The idea of Bikebridge was born in 2015, summer 2015 to be exact, during the so-called refugee crisis in Europe. And the refugee accommodation centers were packed with newly arrived refugees. I talked to people, to women, and they told me there's really nothing for them in terms of recreational activities, sport activities, and they spend most of their time indoors. And I asked them, how about riding a bicycle? Would you like to learn how to ride a bicycle, knowing that many of them coming from Middle Eastern countries, Islamic countries, they didn't have a chance, women, to learn how to ride a bicycle?
I came from Afghanistan. It's 1.5 years that I came in Freiburg. The situation in Afghanistan was worst. We were used to work there, but suddenly the situation changed and Taliban were there. I couldn't stay anymore there and I couldn't work anymore. So that's why I moved here.
Also das sind quasi die Alpen. Die Alpen, ja, okay. Und die machen
Die Kurse, die wir gegeben haben für die Frauen, also genau in diesen Kursen geht es darum, dass die Frauen, die hierher kommen mit Migrationshintergrund, einen Ort haben, an dem sie sich mit anderen Frauen treffen können, an dem sie sich mit Frauen von hier, von Freiburg connecten können.
Oh man! I found many friends from different countries. We got to know each other. We spoke about our culture, about everything about different countries. So I think that was something new.
Ja? Soll ich auch dabei sein? Ja. Ich fühle mich so zugehört. Schnell, schwarze Haare! Juhu! Du hast auch den Jeans an. Ich hab nicht gehört.
Dass wir, also unsere Methode, dass wir das Training so aufbauen, wie wir das aufbauen, das hat den Hintergrund, dass wir die Frauen zuerst, also viele Frauen kommen und machen nicht viel Sport oder haben nicht viel Bewegung in ihrem Alltag und eben kaum oder noch nie Kontakt mit dem Fahrrad und sind neu in einer neuen Stadt mit einer neuen Umgebung. Und deswegen fangen wir erstmal an, uns kennenzulernen, Balanceübungen zu machen, um auch ein bisschen den Körper zu aktivieren, sage ich mal.
N'arrête pas, continue.
Ja, ich glaube, das Wichtigste ist, dass die Frauen lernen, sich und ihrem Körper zu vertrauen und dann auch, um das Fahrrad später auch zu nutzen, um das weiter zu nutzen, ihre Ängste, die sie vielleicht haben, loszulassen.
Stopp. Also das heißt, man muss auf jeden Fall stoppen und anhalten. Also auch wirklich mit dem Fahrrad bremsen und stehen bleiben.
Und es ist vor allem eben auch so diese Balance und dann dieses Freiheitsgefühl auch zu haben, ich kann mit dem Fahrrad einfach wegfahren und genau, ich glaube, das ist so ein bisschen auch, weshalb wir das Schritt für Schritt und langsam aufbauen, um Vertrauen zu stärken und Ängste zu nehmen und dann auch dieses Gefühl aufzubauen, so ich lerne etwas Neues und ich habe ein Ziel und ich komme Schritt für Schritt zu diesem Ziel und kann das dann auch nutzen, weiter nutzen in meinem Alltag oder in meinem Leben.
Cycling as our tool to reach social objectives, to bring people together, to bring locals and the newcomers together, using the attractiveness of cycling in the city of Freiburg to attract the participants and then provide an intercultural dialogue between them. Sport on itself doesn't have any power. We make the sport powerful the way we organize it. If we organize it to reach specific social objectives, then sport's gonna be a very powerful tool for us.
Shahrzad pose une question fondamentale. Comment le sport peut maximiser ses bénéfices au profit du plus grand nombre ? Nous poursuivons ce voyage en terre des possibles le long de la côte sud-africaine, à Muizenberg, une ville réputée pour ses spots de surf. Pendant le régime de l'apartheid, la longue plage de cette station balnéaire était un espace interdit aux gens de couleur. Désormais, elle est un endroit où des jeunes issus des townships environnants s'engagent et deviennent acteurs du changement. Pour Sino et Bouja, dont le passé a été marqué par des épreuves, le surf est avant tout un moyen pour que chacun puisse se réaliser.
I said, ooh, it's cold in here. There must be some rain in the atmosphere. I said, ooh, it's cold in here. There must be some rain in the atmosphere. I said, ice, ice, ice. Too cold, too cold, too cold.
The thing that makes me come back here every day, every single time, is because of the ocean. Without the water, I don't know maybe what I would be doing. I lost a lot of people in my life. So those guys are the one that keeps me going, to be honest.
Leur histoire incarne le potentiel transformateur du sport. Pour agir sur la résilience et développer les compétences de vie dont nous avons tous besoin.
This is my father's place. It's my father's house. This is where I grew up with, and that was my room. This was the room that I was using, and my father was using this one. Where Buya? Buya kon?
Yeah? Ngambona into angazange wayibona. Uyabo?
So Masipumalele is one of the many townships in South Africa. It's quite a small population. They estimate around 60,000. There's only one primary school and one high school. Education-wise, the classes are very full, sometimes up to 60 children in a class. They're under-resourced, so often the children go to school every day, but don't always get the attention that they need on an individual level. But there are many social challenges within the community that make life very challenging for a young person growing up. It's poverty, hunger, domestic violence, parents leaving for work very early before they leave for school, parents not home in the evening, crime, violence, many social challenges. They're dealing with constant repetitive stress. They're going back into that trauma and stress every day, and it builds up in their bodies, creating something called toxic stress.
We want to make mental health care more accessible and more fun for children living in quite volatile environments. So what Ways for Change does is we run 10-month therapy courses for children. So if you're a child who has been identified by a teacher as having a mental health challenge, or a nurse at a hospital is having a challenge, we will provide that child with a 10-month surf therapy course. And each course involves learning to surf and being taught very specific self-regulation skills by a coach that we train.
Sinovuyo, one of our coaches at Muizenberg site, I've known her since she was 5. I used to run a children's home in Masiphumelele, where Sinovuyo's from.
I was 3 months old where I came to the home Ukisa, where my parents dropped me off because they couldn't fully take care of me. I've been living here at Ukisa for 17 years. It's a place where I felt at home. This is our house here, yo. We're so excited to come up to, because first we started in the little one's house and you're like, he's still a little child. And then when you come here, you feel all grown up because it's a bigger one's house. To go to school, like they threw me over on the first day, and then I just joined the preschool because they work together, the Kisa and the preschool. So yeah, memories.
A normal session on the day kicks off with the kids arriving at the beach. As soon as the coaches are on the beach, they usually start off with an energizer just to break the ice, to make the participants feel more comfortable, as well as the coaches to make them feel comfortable as well. And they can feel that energy. So for me doing that, I'm feeding off my energy to the kids.
Asera puma tika pum. Asera puma tika pum. Asera puma tika pum. Asera puma tika pum. Asera puma tika laka tika pum. Asera puma tika laka tika pum. Aha, aha, oh yeah, oh yeah. Aha, aha, oh yeah, oh yeah. Asera puma tika pum. Asera puma tika pum. Asera puma tika pum. Asera puma tika pum. Asera puma tika laka tika pum. Asera puma tika laka tika pum. Aha, aha, oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay guys, I'm gonna split you into how many groups? Coach Shanila coach number 1, Faye coach number 2.
And when that ice is broken, they then come from a high energy level. The coaches bring them down low with a quick take 5, which is a breathing exercise. We do with the kids to check in if they are feeling okay, if they had anything up in their mind or something that's bothering them, so that we can know what are we dealing with today, what kind of behaviors that we're dealing with the kids today.
You're gonna ask how everybody's feeling, and you're gonna use an animal to describe how you're feeling, and you're gonna make a sound of that animal.
I feel like a chicken, boss.
Like a chicken.
Back, X.
Hyena. Yeah. If Edward is saying that he's not feeling comfortable, we have to encourage Edward to finish up that goal, because we are the supporters of Edward.
Oh, Sisonge Simunye, it means one for all and all for one. That's what it means. It is where the coaches communicate with the participants on what they can expect in today's session, why today's session is important, and how they're going to do today's session. One of the most important lessons in our curriculum is called immersion. How immersion is practiced on the beach is the kids line up. After every certain amount of steps that we take together, it's important that we check in with our fellow peers on either side of us. Checking in with one another, they building trust. They also further build on strong connections. It's also just to create a safe space for the participants.
This week I'm cooking vegetable stew and rice. It's so important for the kids to have something to eat after surfing, just to have energy and to have good nutrients, so it gives them strength and they freshens the brain. Yeah. Monday is going to be different.
Je gaat het toch geen construeren, hè?
Now another one is empty, the one in the back, it's empty.
Guys, we live ekhaya, our home, our territory.
So.
Yeah. They say be yourself. Every day. I'm the side of Yes, Butcha! Got a champion on my side, man!
Of the therapist or the coach or the mentor is everything. So if you don't relate to the coach, if you're not attached to the coach, they can try and teach you anything you weren't learning. So everything in this intervention circles around the coach, and you'll notice any coach that we employ at Ways for Change has to be relatable to the people that we work with. So they're always young from the communities that we work with. They speak the same language, they have the same life experiences, but the coach is everything.
The thing that I would say, is that as a coach, we are the role models. There are a lot of people that are looking up to you.
The role as a coach, what it makes me feel, It's a lot of emotions involved. We make that safe space for them, but in a way, they also make that space for me. That space where I can also put out my inner child. A child like where maybe I didn't experience maybe when I was younger, maybe from past traumas or anything. So for me, it's a very important role as to, like, I play a role in their life, but they also play a huge role in my life.
The Masi kids are outside. Ocean View is changing. So we just need to get ready now, okay?
Oh, no, you can't. Maybe go under and then over.
There's one thing that always comes to mind. Participants see, participants do. And for them to see how well the coaches have changed since they joined Ways for Change, that just makes the participants want to also change and be better.
And we see as the children learn to manage their stress more, manage their feelings more, they look for more positive ways to self-regulate. So less drug use, less gang membership. We see big behaviour outcomes at school. Teachers say that the kids that come to Ways for Change are easier to manage, easier to teach. So a lot of it just comes back to that attachment to the coach, gaining confidence by surfing, really, really simple things. But it has a big, profound effect on the lives of these kids.
My role here, it's not only to oversee and supervise and manage, but also is to mentor, is to coach and develop young leaders. And Buja is one young leader that I believe that he would take over this site and run this site. And I'm working to move out of the way so that he takes over.
Buja would have been with us, I think, when he was about 11 or 12, but then on graduating 13, 14, 15, 16, he would have come to our weekend surf club, and then he comes back to the organisation as a coach. So I'd say about 50% of our coaches have the same story, which means now we've got an organisation that's been led by kids who used to be beneficiaries of it.
I would say sports is such an important thing. Sports has helped me in many ways, emotionally, physically, and mentally. Sports is so powerful. It brings people together. It makes people happy. It's a way of building a whole new community.
I will rise up. I will not fall. I will stand up. I will not fall. I will stay strong. I'm never giving up faith. I will go on. Go all the way. This will be the day.
We cannot win the battle around social issues if we work in isolation, if we work in our little corners. And I think there comes a time where we need to collaborate more, and everyone has to have their hands on deck. And I think once we come together as civil society and just ordinary citizens, I think we'll be able to defeat all the social issues that we are currently facing in our communities.
a louder applause, guys. That was amazing. Louder, loud, and the woos and the cheering is so. To all the participants that made the magic happen, we'd like to thank you guys for staying and for watching and appreciating this. Also, go support them, give them the money, let them make more of this, please. We need more of this for the people. Yes, you must clap. And that brings us to the end of our first day of Fix. We will see you tomorrow at 10:30. We have magic in the morning. We have a big intro with a whole parade and a whole circus coming through. So please, safe home everybody. We'll see you in the morning. Bye. Can we put the light on again quickly? Oh, okay. Just the...